August 24th, 2001. An Air Transat Airbus A330 is cruising high above the Atlantic Ocean with 306 people on board. The flight is halfway between Canada and Europe when the situation gets alarming. One engine suddenly shuts down. Minutes later, the second engine fails too. Now, a fully loaded Airbus A330 has become a powerless glider over the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, more than 100 kilometers from the nearest runway. This is the story of Air Transat Flight 236. Flight 236 departed Toronto, Canada, bound for Lisbon, Portugal. On board were 293 passengers and 13 crew members. The aircraft was Airbus A330, powered by two Rolls-Royce Trent engines. Everything appeared normal. But 4 days earlier, maintenance crews had replaced the aircraft's right engine after metal particles were discovered in the engine's oil system. During that replacement, a critical mistake occurred. A fuel line and a hydraulic line that were never meant to touch were installed too close together. The error was invisible. The aircraft passed inspections. It passed engine tests. Nobody realized that every second the airplane flew, those two metal lines were rubbing against each other, slowly wearing away the fuel pipe. A disaster had already begun long before takeoff. Several hours into the flight, the pilots noticed unusual engine indications. Oil temperature on the right engine was falling. Oil pressure was rising. Nothing suggested a fuel leak. Meanwhile, fuel was pouring out of a crack that had opened inside the right engine area. The leak was massive. Then another warning appeared. The aircraft reported a fuel imbalance between the left and right wings. Believing they were correcting the imbalance, the pilots opened the crossfeed system, but unknowingly they made the situation worse. Fuel from the healthy side of the aircraft was now being routed toward the side that was leaking. Thousands of kilograms of fuel continued disappearing into the night sky. As fuel levels collapsed, the crew diverted toward Lagos Air Base in the Azores. It was the nearest airport available. Then, at 39,000 feet, the right engine flamed out. The aircraft was still more than 150 miles from the runway. The crew declared an emergency. Passengers were informed that an emergency landing might be necessary. Then came the nightmare scenario. The left engine failed too. Suddenly, both engines were silent. The cockpit went dark. Cabin pressure began dropping. Oxygen masks fell from the ceiling. A small emergency device called the ram air turbine automatically deployed beneath the aircraft, providing just enough electricity to keep essential systems alive. The Airbus A330 was now gliding. No thrust, no second chances, only altitude. The powerless Airbus continued descending towards the Azores. For nearly 20 minutes, the pilots carefully managed every knot of airspeed and every foot of altitude. Captain Robert Pichet had previous glider experience, something that now became invaluable. As Lagos finally appeared ahead, a new problem emerged. The aircraft was too high. Too much altitude, too little distance. The captain executed a 360-degree turn to lose height while still preserving enough energy to reach the runway. There would be no go-around, no second approach. Everything depended on a single landing. The A330 crossed the threshold at nearly 200 knots. Then it slammed onto the runway. 8 tires burst instantly. The aircraft bounced back into the air before touching down again. With no reverse thrust and limited braking capability, the crew fought to stop before the runway ended. Against overwhelming odds, the Airbus finally came to a stop. Small fires erupted around the landing gear. An emergency evacuation began immediately. Amazingly, every one of the 306 people on board survived. Investigators later determined that the entire emergency started with a maintenance error during the engine replacement. The fuel leak was preventable. The crew also failed to recognize the leak early enough, allowing fuel to continue draining until both engines flamed out. Yet, once the engines stopped, the pilots delivered one of the most remarkable recoveries in aviation history. An unpowered Airbus A330 glided roughly 65 nautical miles across the Atlantic Ocean and landed safely. Air Transat Flight 236 remains one of the greatest examples of airmanship ever recorded, and proof that even when every engine goes silent, miracles do happen.
Learn more about aviation safety. Subscribe for more investigation videos.